Well, a bombshell was dropped on Republican House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy yesterday after this leaked tape of him saying he planned to urge President Trump to resign from office after January 6th. Listen.
The only discussion I would have with him is that I think this will pass, and it would be my recommendation we should resign.
All right, the only problem is McCarthy publicly denied saying anything of the sort, calling the New York Times reporting totally false and wrong. Our company is here to weigh in on all this. Newsmax political analyst Mark Halperin and business analyst Seth Dinson. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Mark, I'm going to start with you because this is quite the predicament. I mean, any way you cut it. So just for context for our viewers, the New York Times piece that came out yesterday is based on Jonathan Martin and Alex Burns' new book, This Will Not Pass. And the article disclosed that Kevin McCarthy, he privately told GOP colleagues that former President Trump, as I mentioned, should consider resigning after January 6th. So after that article comes out, McCarthy denies these allegations, says, hey, no, there's no way that they're true. Then Jonathan Martin and Alex Burns, they go on Rachel Maddow last night and they show that they actually have the tapes that we just played of him saying that. So I mean, there's so many angles that I can go from this but at the end of the day, how does this actually play for McCarthy? Because I hear that he's actually already talked to President Trump.
Yeah, I think President Trump, as best I can tell, will let this slide. Maybe not every member of the conference will. I think the significance here is Kevin McCarthy is in line to be Speaker of the House. And the traits he exhibited in this episode are ones he's exhibited before. And I think while they may not stop him from being Speaker, they're going to make him be in a very perilous position as Speaker, because the job he's in now is relatively easy. Republican Speaker under a Democratic president before a presidential campaign will test him, and I think people are going to get second thoughts again about whether he's the right person. I think he'll make it, but I'm not sure he'll stay in the job.
Yeah, so Seth, I'm going to get to you in a second, but I want to ask Mark another question on this because we know that Trump is speaking tomorrow at a rally. Does he demur and say nothing, or does he bring it up? And does he need to protect, I guess, McCarthy in this in some way and say, hey, we're good, we're good?
I'd sooner predict what Kim Jong-un is going to do than what Donald Trump's going to do at a rally. But my sense is
wise man.
My sense is that he's fine with this because in the end, McCarthy, despite the doubts that he expressed, caught on audio tape, has been very loyal to Donald Trump, didn't try to kick him out of office, didn't vote for impeachment, didn't vote to certify the election results. So I think President Trump's probably fine with this. But as we all know, there are very few people for whom Donald Trump puts on any ice that's thicker than a Frisbee.
Okay, Seth, so I want to get your view from a voter standpoint. Do Republican voters even care about this at all? Because from my perspective, we have maybe the future Speaker of the House who now has come out and said, this is not true, and now it is true. That's lying.
Well, it is, and I think that Republican voters will care about this if Donald Trump cares about this. But if he doesn't, I think the vast majority of Republican voters will recognize that this call was a politician playing politics with another politician who they knew was not happy with the situation in the days following an extremely chaotic situation. And to further that, I mean, listen, Kevin McCarthy was relatively public in his frustration with Donald Trump in the days right after that. And then he flew to Mar-a-Lago, met with the president. They came out holding hands or hugging or doing whatever they did. I think that Republican voters should be concerned that he's denied this. That's really the concern. But again, I think Republican voters are also smart enough to realize politicians have been in power long enough. There are probably some other things they've denied that just may not be all that accurate.
I mean, are you going to be a wise man or not? Will you predict if Trump will say anything on this tomorrow?
You want me to take a different position than Mark?
I'm not putting you on the spot at all.
You know, listen, I think maybe he does. I think only because it's in the spotlight, and we all know that Donald Trump, if it's out there, he may want to say something. So I think maybe he does, but maybe he supports Kevin McCarthy and says, hey, he brought it up. We've talked about it. We're good. Let's move on from this. The fact that he's been quiet today, listen, the media likes to say that Donald Trump is brash, but he is a ringmaster when it comes to the media. The fact he's been quiet today tells you something.
Oh, Kevin,
yeah.
Kevin.
And
I love my Kevin.
Yeah, that's true. He calls him Kevin. And we've seen that he can forgive people. Even J.D. Vance, who he endorsed this week, has said some not so kind things about the president. And he came on and endorsed him this week. We expect for him to be there with him tomorrow in Ohio at his rally. I do want to switch gears with you all, though, because something else interesting happened today. The 12th staff member of Kamala Harris' office has resigned. I mean, 12 staff members now, and this one, an important one. So, Mark, I mean, what do you make of this? I mean, it is oftentimes that staff does, cycle through after maybe year 2, but we're not even in year 2 yet in this administration. What's happening?
I think they're leaving to form a Canadian League football team because they got the right number. Look, she historically is not a very good boss. She's very demanding. She changes her expectations about people, and she's been unsuccessful at establishing the kind of rhythm of her office. So you don't fire the vice president, you fire the staff. She needs to be prepared to be president. There are people around President Biden who regret that she was chosen, who think that it will be very difficult for her to become president, either on her own or if Joe Biden leaves office. And they have to get her ready. They're responsible to do that. And I think some of this is people leaving because they don't like the environment in the office. But I think some of it is people being forced out because they need to bring in people who can get her ready.
Yeah, and that's her chief of staff that resigned today. But I don't have a lot of time left here, Seth. But, when I think about it, when you take one of these jobs, it's going to be tough. People say it is a toxic environment, but it's not going to be easy. You're going to make ridiculous hours. Do you think these people should just toughen up, or is it time to go when someone's that hard on you?
No, listen, I think, again, we don't know the exact reasons why they're leaving, but I think that if they feel like they can't perform the job up to its duties, whether that's because of who they report to or the situation they're in, they should leave. Again, I'm an American first, and I want the person that's a heartbeat away from the presidency to be competent. Maybe what they're realizing is a reason that she received less than 1% of the eligible vote when she was running for the office, that maybe the American people knew more than they did.
Mark, Seth, always appreciate your insight, but stick around because it's Friday, so it's time for a little levity. And a little tease here, CNN's streaming service, CNN Plus, didn't last very long. The company announced this week it's shutting down the service. This is just 3 weeks after it launched. And that's a clue for the company quiz, which is coming at you next. Don't go away.